text into our design. Now to do this, you click on the text tool, which is on the left hand side, and then we're just going to draw. Now as this is the basic design, I'm just going to say banner, as this is where my banner text is going to go. And you can notice one thing, it will basically use the default font that I've used in previous times. Now to change that, if I highlight it and use the drop down menu here, you can see all of my fonts that are on the system will instantly load, and then you can choose any type of font that you think will fit. Now you should have chosen a font as part of your planning within your mood board. Now you can also change the size. So if I click on the size and make it bigger, press enter, you can see now it's made the text bigger, and it's also expanded the text box. If I click on the move tool and then drag the text box out, you can see now the text wrapping has ceased and the text now has gone on to the next part. If I wanted to change the font color, all I do is I use the fill tool here, and you can see I can change the color just by using the slider there to drag. Now because I'm using shades of grey, I'm going to stick to a standard color, and I'm going to go with white with this one to make it stand out. I'm going to put a secondary piece of text underneath for a slogan, but before I do that, I'm just going to make this text box a little bit smaller so it comes in there. And I'm going to grab my text box again, just by clicking the text tool and then draw in underneath. Now one of the things you will notice is when you do this, it uses the same text that you've used prior. So what I'm going to do is highlight the text just by double clicking it, and then we're going to choose a font. Again, a smaller font such as Helvetica. And I'm going to also change the size down to something a little bit smaller. And I'm also then going to make it all capital by clicking the capitalize button, like so. Now we're going to move that in a little bit, and I'm going to move it towards the center of this. Now you'll notice the guides are coming up to show me where the center is, and that's as good enough as I need to get it for this part. And what I'm also going to do is I'm going to add a line in between these two now as well. If I click on the line, and let's just draw. If I hold down the shift key at the same time, it makes sure that I'm drawing a straight line. Now as you can see, this line is very, very thin, so we need to make that a little bit wider. So what we're going to do is increase the border size. Since it's been size 1, we're going to then increase that to something a little bit bigger. Let's say, for example, 10. Now in order to make this look a little bit better, I'm going to round the edges using the line styles here. And what that's done now is just rounded the edges a little bit. Now if you need to select all of this text and move it, if you click on the move tool, click on each individual icon, whilst holding down the shift key, you can then move it as one item as well. If you were to right click on this, you can group the items together, and then that will also allow you to move it as one. Now in my website at the moment, what I'm going to do, I'm just planning, because this is my home page, I just want to see what it's going to look like. So I'm going to add some fonts in here. I just want to see what a big paragraph of text will look like. Now I don't want to type a lot of things out, so I'm going to use a text generator. This is a website that I've used before, lorem-ipsum.io, and what this does is it'll allow me to generate a chunk of text. Now you might have noticed this text because it's what's used on a lot of sample documents around the internet and various different templates that are used with Microsoft Online. If I copy some text here and then just go Control C or Command C on a Mac, and we're going to go back to my text tool here, and I'm just going to draw it in there, and we're going to just paste it in. Now don't forget, because the last text we used was Helvetica size 60, it's going to be quite large, and the color was set to white. We now need to format the text. So if I select all the text in this text box, we can then make it smaller. Say for example 20, maybe bigger here. And let's change the fill, so we've got it then to be a different color. So I'm going to go with the darker gray here. Okay, so I'm just going to make some more paragraphs with this, just to see what the text would look like. Now, if you wanted to change the dimensions of the text box, obviously we've got a shape and a text box here. So if I do change the text box, you can see it expands. So if you needed more space or less space, you can. You can also take some text out of it. This is just to see how the text fits in our design. So that's how you would add text into your design. If you wanted to preview this, click on the play button at the top, and you can then see how this looks. Lastly, before I forget, you might want something at the bottom. So if I click on the text again, and let's just draw. So all I've said is company name will be here. Let's highlight it. Let's make it a little bit bigger. And let's make that to be white. And we're going to capitalize that one as well. Now if we want to try and get it into the center of this here, you can see I've just dragged that down and the lines have come up just to show me where things are going to be. Again, when you want to preview, click on the preview tool, and then that will show you what this will look like.